Hey everybody, this is Larry. This is me going with Q4 of the weekly contest 457 minimum moves to reach target in grid. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, join me in Discord. Let me know what you think about this one. I know this one was a weird ad hoc problem, but also not many people solved it. It seems like even if you want to remove the cheaters, which is even fewer. So I don't know. Maybe ChatGPT is just not good on this one. I don't know. Either way, I did it with breadth first search. The key idea behind this breadth first search is that you want to go backwards. Why? The reason why you want to go backwards is mostly that here we always have two choices, right? On every move, and you kind of go into crazy combinatorial things. But maybe it's not that bad, honestly. Maybe I'm wrong on that. In that, I don't know. Two and then I don't know. There's some like weird n log n type thing here, but 10 to the 9 is a little bit too big for me to kind of work through how many states there are. But the way that I thought was more natural is to go from the end result back to the start. That is the key observation. Why did I think that way? The reason why I thought that way, and even without really analyzing it, I thought that, well, yeah, you're trying to remove from this pair, you're trying to get to a smaller number that's of a function of either this number or the other number. And because you're dealing with max, the way that I thought about it is dealing with max is that, well, maybe there's a repeated max, but even though this is not true, but I thought that with repeated max, something like, okay, you're always subtracting from the other number at the worst case, and if you do that, then you basically have GCD, an extended GCD algorithm, which you can do pretty fast in the number of bits. So like, yeah, the timing would not be an issue if there's no branching. And that's kind of the way that I kind of maybe just started. And I was like, all right, well, we'll see how it goes. Honestly, it's a little bit YOLO. I didn't have a strict proof during this part when I was solving it. And I just did a BFS. And then after that, it becomes a case analysis. And what I mean by that is just, okay, going through every case and thinking about whether every case is possible. And that part is kind of tricky. I got one wrong answer because I missed an interpretation of how to do case analysis. But otherwise, it turns out that this was not so bad. But yeah, I did with breadth first search. Maybe you could call it DP if you want to kind of think about it in the right way. But I start from the end, and then it just, okay, if you have X, Y, if this is the beginning, then we just return. I think there's also like, I think there's an early, like you could prune it a little bit, maybe make it a little bit faster in that. Okay, well, because I did during the virtual contest, maybe it doesn't show up. But what I mean by that is that, okay, so if you give a submission, this is 7 milliseconds. Maybe if you write something like if X is less than SX, then we just skip, right? Or if Y is less than SY, then we also skip. This should be good too, right? Yeah, so this makes it slightly faster. But I mean, either way, it's still pretty fast, so I wasn't worrying about it. But in any case, yeah. So then now that you have the XY, and then you just do the case analysis of, okay, well, and for me, the way that I do case analysis is just think of a lot of numbers and break it down, right? So let's say you have, say, 5 and 1,000 or something like that. Well, the max, well, either has to be, that means that something, so some XY plus some max of XY on one of the things is equal to this number, right? I'm not writing in good notation. So something like this, right? Or X, Y plus this thing, right? And the way that I thought about backward is that, well, this thing that's just called M has to be equal to 5 or 500, right? Why is 500? Because that means that, this is maybe confusing to look at. But it means that maybe there are two cases where it can come from. One is that maybe M is equal to, or the next number is 5995, right? The reason is being that 995 plus 5 is equal to this number. Of course, this is not possible because, well, 5 would not be the max of these two numbers, so that's not possible. But that's one way to think about it. The other that I thought is, it goes to 500, right? Because here, then now 500 plus 500 is equal to 1,000. So this is good. And that's basically the way that I thought about it in other scenarios. The other scenario that it could happen is if you have like I don't know, 10 and 12 or something like that, right? Well, now you think, okay, well, can it come from 10 and 2? And the answer is yes, right? Because you just add 10 and then you add 2 and then you just, and it becomes 10, 12. The other possibility maybe would have been the same way that we had before, is 10 and 6 and then add 6. But you can add 6 in this scenario because yeah, because 6 is not the max of those two numbers, and that's half the reason. And then the other thing is that you deal with odd numbers because odd is just not possible, for example, and that's it. And that's all the scenario for x is less than y, and without loss of generality, also x is greater than y because it's just symmetry reasons, right? So I'm not going to go over the implementation because this just becomes BFS, and then P is just a possible delta. Maybe I named this a little bit wrong. Maybe this should have been D for delta or something. Maybe that would have been a little bit clearer because then now the P is the possible, and then we just check it. If it's not in best, then we extend it. I don't know why it would be in best. Maybe it could have been, but the thing is that with a breadth first search, I didn't have to worry about it. I just kind of put it in there and didn't have to prove anything, right? The same thing here with let's just name it D for delta. Again, no generality. And then the other case is if x is equal to y. And I think this one is straightforward. There are only two scenarios, right? Because you have, say, I don't know. And I was even thinking about odd numbers. But let's say you have something like this. Then it can only come from here or here, right? And either of them is possible, so that's why we set them. Make sure that we didn't go to them, and then we just set that as equal to this, and then we go on. Of course, this is not always the end. We have this filtering out, but keeping in mind that let's say you have 1,000, 1,000. It goes to 0, 1,000, and then the path actually goes to 0, 500, and then 0, 250, ... right? So if your input is 0, 250, then this is actually possible. And that's just like an example. And that's it. And because we have a BFS, we'll just it'll take care of it in the next loop. And that's it. Remarkably, I thought it was simple. But yeah. And keeping in mind that here, we always subtract by either the max number or the we always subtract by the max number, but the max number is always either half your number or more than half your number, right? Because if it's half your number, then that means the max, then you divide it by half. And then the other number is bigger than half, so you always kind of divide it by 2 in one of the numbers. And because you have two numbers going to 10 to the 9, I think, yeah, that means that you have at most 60 times. So this is a 2 times log n, where n is the number, or you could say linear in the size of the number of bits for this problem. And that's it. That's all I have for this one. The case that I missed, in case you're wondering that I got a wrong answer on, the case that I missed was that I just didn't have this part because I was taking the max of either x or y divided by 2, but then I just kind of, I don't know, I just checked for even, but as a result, if I have, I guess I should have talked about this actually, but as a result, if I have like 999 and like 100, well, what you want is 980, something like this, right? And then times 2 on this side. Of course, this is not possible, but that's what you would have wanted. And then I would have skipped, this gets skipped. But what I end up doing was that because I was just taking the max, what I did was that I end up checking 899 for 100. And I thought that my code thought it was possible. Like, I just didn't think it through to be like, oh, because if you look at it, this is obviously not possible. But because I didn't have this continue statement and this check, yeah, that's it. That was how I got wrong answer, and then I just kind of fixed it, obviously. And that's it. That's all I have with this one. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. And yeah, you can watch me solve it live in the contest now. I shouldn't have. That's why I was trying to do something funky, but I thought it was too slow. And it ended up taking 20 minutes, but I also had to use the restroom, so I don't know. Really tricky problem. All right, let's see. Q4 minimum moves to reach target and grid. This is so much reading. They're all big numbers. Let's just pretend that, okay, you started this. M is equal to max, and then you could, it's like some GCD thing, isn't it? What is this property like? So it is something like reverse GCD thing, right? 5 4. Then you either we move to 4 or half of this maybe. 3 2. Then you remove either, so it goes to 2 1. So there's no subtraction, so that means that this has to be bigger. So okay, it goes to 1 4, and then it just goes to 2, right? 1 4. Oh, but I thought that it would add 1 twice, but that's not right. Then you just divide it by 2. Or you could also add 1 from 3. But the shortest would be divided by 2, maybe. Okay, so I mean, the idea is there. How do I do this and make sure that it is performant? It's considering that it goes to 10 to the 9. There's some like, it is some GCD thing though. It is very awkward. I don't know that I know how to do this one easily. But for a search, is it going to be fast enough? And what if this is an odd number? I guess if it is an odd number, then it cannot divide by 2, right? Let's try buffer search. I don't know if this is quite, but we can try it. So then now, it has to be the max, so it cannot, a small number cannot be doubled up. So, okay. So, I don't know if this is all the case, we have to figure out, but if x is greater than y, then what happens? Then now, either actually, no, it's not, you can't do both, you have to choose. And then, okay, so if y mod 2 is 0, 0, then a possibility, maybe, is equal to y divided by 2. It's either that or, I guess this has to be either x or this, right? So x is the smaller number, and the last move has to be what? Is that true? No, it doesn't have to be. No, it has to be, right? Can you add the smaller number? Yes, but then it becomes the bigger number afterwards. So okay, so it's either x or this way. Okay, and then yeah, and then now, yeah, xp is the previous number if we move from p, right? So if this is not in best, I could probably write this cleaner, but it's fine for now. I'm just worried about correctness more than timing. Okay, so then now we'll remove x. Let's say you have 3, 5. Now you can move. There's no number for you to go from 3 to. Yeah, there's no number. I don't think. Because you can't, let's say you have 2, 4, you can add 1 to the smaller number, so it cannot come from 1, 4. So there's no way. Okay, I don't think so. I could be wrong. And then the opposite is true for this one. Okay, and then the only thing that's tricky is if they're the same, right? If they're the same, then if they have to be both. Do they have to be odd or even? Okay, even is easy, but odd. Let's say a 5, 5. Is there a way to get it from 5 anywhere to 5, 5? No, because then the previous max is going to be 5. Is there a way to get from previous even? 4, 4. No, maybe if you go to 4, 4, that's just wrong, right? Because you can't go from like 2, 4, or even 3, 4, 1, 4, 3. One thing is maybe 0. Is there 0? 0 can be a key. So if you start from 0, 4. Okay, well then it has to be 0. So that's actually awkward. I didn't consider 0, so I have to maybe re-examine these things. No, that it can only be 0 if they're the same, then one of them has to be 0 to get to the max, and that's the starting one. Even it could go from 0 all the way to 0, 1. Okay, so then now one of them has to be 0, I think. That's the thing. So then now it's just 4. Okay, and then here we return -1 when possible, because here we want to write if xy is equal to we could probably terminate earlier, but I think that's fine. Q.append as well. Also here, how am I bad? -1, 3, -1. The 3 is good. -1 not so good. Why? For a 5, 4, then the best has to, the previous max has to be 4. Did I mess that? start with 5, 4, 4, 4. How? I guess I messed it up somewhere. 5, 4, so the x is greater than y. P. Possible is 4. If it, otherwise, oh, this is not right. This is not p minus 4, it's x minus p. Silly boy. That's good enough. Oh, it's a little bit awkward looking. Okay, 2, 3, negative 1. Is it good though? I think I have to YOLO. I mean, I think it works out. I understand. What's my print statement? Okay, I'm trying to remove that print statement. I think maybe I'm missing some casework, but which is fine. But I feel like it would take me longer to come up with it. That's why. This is 51, but I have negative 1 is expected. Why do I think it's 51? Let's see. Let's also print out the thing. Okay, it thinks that this is the case, which is true. Subtract 1. No, this is not possible. Okay, I see. So that means that yeah, okay, that means that it else so if it's odd, then if y divided by 2 is greater than p, then we continue. Except for that, we want to multiply 2 on both sides. Is equal fine? Equal is probably fine. I think equal is fine. Well, it's odd, so it can be equal too, but negative 1 back here. Now we have to remove the print statement, and hopefully that was the only case that I forgot. 2, is that 2, 3? Is that right? Yep, okay, I just forgot. Maybe I'm mixing problems in my head. Oh, nice, not bad. I mean, I spent a long time on Q3, but that's it. This one was over. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, join me on Discord. Let me know what you think about this problem, this contest, everything in between. Stay good, stay healthy, to good mental health. I'll see y'all later and take care. Bye-bye.